Hey, my name's Chris Patterson. Welcome to the Greatness Project Conversation. We're here today with Wayne "The Rock" Johnson. We're not going to get into any pebble jokes today. Camille, my wife, and I founded the Greatness Project to create space for people to discover their God-given calling and purpose, and then fruitfully live it out and steward well what they've been entrusted, all their resources, people, family, money, buildings, their businesses. And we help them multiply and maximize what they've been entrusted, and we help them abolish fear and apathy to really steward well everything they've been entrusted. And that's why we started this conversation, so you can meet people like Jeff, Philip, Wayne, and many others. If you know someone that you'd like us to have a conversation with, please let us know in the comments or shoot us a message. But I'm excited to have Wayne here today. Thanks for joining us.
Absolutely.
Not only is Wayne about 15 years or 20 years younger than he looks, not only does he have 8 children, not only has he been happily married to beautiful Bethany for how many years now?
10 years.
10 years. Not only has he been from studying business in Seattle to studying his paper route when he was 11. It'd be interesting studying that now, wouldn't it? Where he had a lawn business in his teens, waited tables in college, started flipping houses when he was 20. If you're 20, you flipped a house, let me know. I'd love to hear your story and how you did it. But he's always had a passion for sales, entrepreneurship, and business. And that's been my experience of Wayne. Always had a passion for all those three. That's been my experience of you. And although he studied technology and was a programmer and eventually self-studied networking and system architecture, and then consulting with large mergers and acquisitions, he's really had a gift to simplify the complex and create systems that provide solutions. So my experience of Wayne and Bethany is really connecting with people, loving them, but helping them really level up, go a couple of levels up in their world. And has always had a passion for leadership, sports, and health, which is why they got into the direct sales business in 2003 and really grew exponentially, had one of the biggest businesses of people that I knew in any direct sales business. They created sales systems and really helped between the sales and building leaders and guiding entrepreneurs and motivated people, which included helping them discover their true purpose, which is some of what I hope to talk about today. But he and Bethany grew that business to over 600 million in total sales over 16 years and really helped thousands of distributors earn millions in commissions. So that's where Rise Champions was born. So if you want to look up Wayne, you can look up Rise Champions.
Yeah.
Anything else that you look up?
Yeah.
RiseChampions.com. That's where that came from. In 2019, Wayne and Bethany had the opportunity to partner with a new rising global wellness platform, and they built something called social retail. And they've generated over $500 million, 500 million in sales, and have helped lead Modere into 36 countries and counting. And a couple of years ago in 23, after years of privately investing in real estate and us jamming on or talking about different cash flowing real estate opportunities and building that portfolio, Wayne created Exodus Legacy Trust as a safe place to help friends and family invest in multi-family apartment deals, where they have proven operators, Oak IQ Investments, where they've been able to help over 35 families and individuals invest over $10 million in 5 major projects, with a lot more to come. To maybe sum up Wayne, I would say that a couple of years ago, he came and spoke at our annual business kickoff event. We kick off every year with getting our clients together, business owners and entrepreneurs, to review the last year and reflect, because we found that if you can look back, you can more easily look forward, plan ahead. You can learn from the future or learn from the past rather, and hopefully not do the same mistakes, not make the same mistakes again. So one of my favorite clients, Bob, that's worked with me for several years now, said Wayne was my favorite part of the day. And the reason you were the favorite part of the day is because it really intersected kind of the faith and work aspect of things. Yeah. And that's what this conversation is about. It's about seeing people apply their faith and work giftings and callings together and really steward those and maximize and multiply them to the best of their ability for both not just themselves, but everyone around them.
Yeah, and I'm honored to be on, because every time I have a conversation with you, I feel like this gravitational pull to level up, because you are, you give people permission to dream bigger, to think bigger. And so I think people listen to this as you ask questions, and every conversation, it's fun, because when you're reading all the things that I've done, I'm just like, wow, that was a lot, but I know there's like still so much more that God has for me and to do.
Yeah.
And that's why I think every man needs to be around other guys that are like, hey, let's go. What's God calling you to do? What is God really speaking to you about, and tapping into that? So, to just be sitting here, it energizes me, and I know I'm going to get more out of it than you're ever going to get.
Thank you for saying that. I mean, that's part of the reason I read it, is because you have done so much, and sometimes, Chad Veach said to me one time in the U District when he still lived up here before he moved to SoCal, he's like, we summarize seasons in like a few words.
Right.
And you look back on a season, it could be 2 years or 10 years, but it gets summarized in like a handful of words. And so sometimes we forget all the things that we've done.
Yeah.
Like you and I have lived a lot of lives.
Yeah.
Like how many countries have you been to now?
Probably 30 plus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've been to 45.
Yeah.
And some of them not for very long. I know you have a habit of taking your whole family somewhere for a month or 3?
Yeah. Let me give a little encouragement, because I know reading a bio like that and on social media, we can make people out to be like just superhuman, or just like, oh my gosh,
celebrityism.
I just wake up and everything just falls into place. And I think probably the biggest thing that I had to learn early in my life was a growth mindset.
Okay.
Because as I look back in my early life, I actually had a very fixed mindset, even though I had an entrepreneurial mind, but I discovered about myself, thanks to some great mentorship that pulled stuff out of me, that I would do things that I was naturally good at. And then if it started to get hard for me, I was like, oh, this must not be my thing.
When that was not true?
When it was not true, there was things.
You were just hitting the resistance of, I did what was easy, because you were really gifted.
Yes.
And that was probably way more than what most people would do.
Right.
So you mailing it in,
right,
and just half-assing it, was better than most people's trying really hard.
Yes. And so now, like we talked about this, the other day when we were just having a phone conversation, is like, I have a deep desire in me to pull men up out and be like, actually, this resistance is good for you.
Yeah.
And let me show you a growth mindset. And because of your past or different experiences, those don't define you. And just because maybe you were raised in a certain mindset, that's not who you really are. And let's find out who God says you are. And so I think that is, as I look at those accolades, in between all those little mountaintop things that sound cool, there was a lot of like soul searching and figuring out and quitting on things until I discovered like, oh wait, I can actually choose a different path. Grit and grind.
How many things did you quit on?
Oh, I can think about in sports. Sports is probably the easiest thing to figure out, because if you're good at certain sports naturally, and then you get to a level where then there's more competition, or there's a coach or a different thing that doesn't jive with you, and you have to like mentally process through, it's easy to be like, okay, maybe I'm not supposed to do this, or this isn't my jam anymore. So
that's not true. It's just that context.
Right, in that context. But that can spill over then into
how you approach relationships or business.
Yes. Yeah. So learning to like that first layer, that first exposure, to be able to like filter through and be like, hold on, this is what do I need to learn in this? What can this teach me?
So
how can I have different conversations here?
No, I like where you're going with that. I guess I have 2 questions. Like how does someone become aware that these things are operating in the background? Mm-hmm. And then what do you do about it?
Well, I think, a simple thing is like, anytime we think something's fixed or something's done or set in stone, I think that's always, a fixed mindset. I'm not good at this. Well, why am I not good at this? Well, I probably haven't put in the hours to be good at it, right? Malcolm Gladwell gives the analogy of 10,000 hours to mastery. So I see a lot of people doing many things distracted instead of intentionally going
after the thing.
Yeah, maybe putting in a couple hundred hours and being like, well, this isn't for me.
And they're wondering why they're not successful.
And they wonder and realizing like, I have to put the work in every day. I tell people all the time.
And this is true for sportsmen, entrepreneurs, salespeople, people in a relationship with the fiance, girlfriend, maybe a spouse.
Yeah. Or like John Maxwell says, everything I want in life is uphill.
Mm.
It was like this profound moment when I remember reading that one day, and I was like, I don't really like that, because I like the idea of having some comfort. And then I heard another quote that said, pursuit of comfort is aging faster. People that pursue comfort, it actually ages you faster. And so I was like, no, actually everything I do want is uphill.
But America is so addicted to comfort and convenience.
Yeah.
Like more than any country I've been to. Australia is as well, but like America just tends to do everything on a bigger and grander scale. How do you become aware that, I'm seeking comfort, and how do you choose a path that gets you more of what you want? Because comfort's almost a deception. It's like people, I don't have the stats pulled up, but like people who retire die earlier. When they just retire from something versus retiring to something where there's still some value there, or they're being productive.
I mean we know the term destination disease. So I think there's so many things in our society that paint this picture of this destination is going to solve all of your human problems. So this amount of money, or this marriage, or when my kids are here, or this business happens to take off here.
You make a real estate transaction.
But instead, I've read that, it talks about like whole life excellence. So like the pursuit of a whole life of excellence, and everyone has the opportunity to have whole life excellence, and it isn't necessarily tied to money. It isn't necessarily tied to physical fitness. It isn't tied to, I'm thinking about things that like I gravitate to. And, it's about having, my kids leave my house when they're leaving to go and make their way. And they're like, man, my dad equipped me. I wasn't out equipping and traveling and doing all this stuff, making all these leaders everywhere else. And then I send 8 kids out into the world who are clueless.
So practically, how does someone start to, what are some initial baby steps they can take to build this whole life excellence? And then maybe how can they zoom out and really concerted effort and plan to move there in a really powerful way? Beyond just the first few steps.
So ultimately, I feel like, for me is like, when I got into my first direct sales business, they talked about, you can design your life.
Right.
And I was like, I can design my life. Like I have the full ability to.
Most people don't feel like they can.
There's no barriers. There's no fixed limit on me. Like I can literally paint the vision I want for the life I want. It's not going to just be, walk in the park easy, but I can design the life. So I think really getting crystal clear, writing down like, hey, if I had all the money, all the time, all the resources, everything in my favor, then what would I actually do? And that's beginning with the end in mind. So working back to be like, okay, if I could operate like that every single day as if I actually had all of that, and walk forward in that, then that is absolutely powerful, because then the waves that hit, the setbacks that hit, the big wins. One of my favorite guys to study and read about is Coach John Wooden, who was the UCLA basketball coach, and they just he won all these championships, and they just said he was just like this. Even when they were winning, he was like his highs were high, but not like over the top, and his lows, it was just like this steady, because he was on this pursuit of whole life excellence. He knew exactly the type of life that he wanted to build. And so I think if you can really design that out, and then every day you start to like go, okay, how can I move towards that?
So when you talk about your design, are you designing what your life looks like on the day-to-day? Are you designing your habits and practices and rhythms? Are you designing like your dreams and goals? Like,
you got to determine what your vehicle is, I guess, from a financial standpoint. So, once I set into the main business I was working, I was like, okay, I understand that this vehicle financially and time-wise, this will help me design my life. So then I started to... And
that was producing cash flow.
That was producing cash
flow. Versus like, you could use real estate or shares, but those aren't really... You might design real estate to produce cash flow, but probably not in the beginning.
Yeah.
In a way that's going to provide for your whole life.
Yeah. So for like an entrepreneur, like a business person, once you have your vehicle, then of course you need to design and build habits in like the right inputs to say, okay, I know when I do these things consistently every day, that's feeding the business, that's feeding the growth. So that's more on that's again, going back to the world. That's that's not necessarily a kingdom thing. That's
Yeah.
providing
Yeah.
the income, and I mean, but
What about that guy that you're just talking about, but he's maybe seen a level of success? You know, his business is doing 7 or 8 figures or high 8 figures,
Yeah.
like, and they're seeing success, but they're leaving a lot on the table, whether it be spiritually, in their marriage with their kids, like relationally, or even in the business, like the impact they could have by being highly excellent.
yeah,
Because as my friend Elliot Kraft of Found Pushbase says, like, excellence is the currency the world trades in.
Mm.
So if you're excellent at something, people will listen to you.
yeah, you have trust.
Yeah.
Like you're stable, and you know, you bring someone an offer, if they already know you're stable and trustworthy, like they're more likely to say yes because, hey, Wayne's bringing this to me. You know, that's my favorite thing when I'm setting people up on a lot of the real estate stuff I do. It's hands down every time I'm doing a meeting, the person will say, the only reason I'm here is because of Wayne.
Right.
And to me, I'm like, okay,
Because it's trust.
I've done a good job with modeling this excellence where they trust me and I've vetted out what I'm showing them.
And why did they trust you? Is it because you've helped them get results in their business, or they've seen the results you got in business, or because they've seen what you've done in other real estate transactions?
I think it's a combination of, I
Or
guess,
something else?
yeah, I guess it goes back to, I mean, if we really wanted to talk about like that A-level guy, because I have been that A-level guy, and what I discovered even in that, until I really knew my kingdom identity, there was just this huge gap for me.
When you say there's a big gap, what do you mean?
There was
Like there's a hole,
gap,
or like a insecurity, or like not feeling enough, or
there was a hole. There was like almost like a wariness of I was chasing and doing a lot of activities, but because it was a lot of times outside of like my giftings, and I was just doing those things because I was like, I just have to do these things because that's what's going to get this to grow to that level.
So I think a lot of, I want to talk about identity here deeply in
Yeah.
a second, and maybe we'll
Yeah.
spend the balance of our time there. But before we do, I think a lot of people are doing stuff that is not their strength zone, their passion zone. Like they're doing a lot of things just because they have to, or because no
Yeah.
one else can, or sometimes they can't even, as Gino Wickman in Traction says, like they can't let go of the vine.
Yeah.
They can't transition, like E-Myth talks about, from being an employee or self-employed to being like an owner. How have you seen for yourself, or maybe for others, you can release doing some of those things, doing everything? Because you can't do everything.
Oh yeah.
We have limits of space and time and energy. Like there's only so many things we can do.
Yeah, I think it's having an abundance mindset of like the more I share, and if I do this with a team and I identify people that they love to do this, like I just know in my real estate team, we have this one guy and they're just like, man, he just loves cranking on the spreadsheets, and I'm just like, thank God for that guy, you know, because I'm like I would do it if I had to, but he like loves it.
He loves it, and he's good at it.
And he's good at it.
Yeah.
And he feels like it's helping the team so much, so he's valued in that.
Yeah.
And so I think, you know, as you start to, I think when you have a scarcity mind, you're like, okay, I'm the only one that can do this. I can only do this with excellence. There's no one that can do this as good as me. But, you know, another John Maxwell, or, you know, one of these guys I think said is, if you can delegate and find someone to do what you're doing 50% as good as you, but they have upside, then you delegate that thing.
Like room to grow.
Yeah, room to grow.
Yeah. Don't delegate to them if the 50% is their maximum.
Right. They have room to grow, and you can coach them up, and they can like step into that role, because then it frees you up into, you know, these key strength zones
That's interesting.
that are only your giftings. Like I've learned there's just some key things that when I do those in my organization, in my day-to-day, like I'm the only one in my identity that can do them in that powerful way.
Yeah.
And there's a whole bunch of other things that try to suck my time that I need to really pull other people in and find those people to be like, hey, I see you, you're good at this. Let me show you enough to, you know, help the organization move forward in that way.
So we were having we've had many conversations, and the 2023 when you came and spoke was centered around this. Our fun conversation yesterday was centered around this, but essentially, if I was to give it the overview, it's that God's given us a name, He's given us an identity, and it's unique. And I was telling one of my clients in Texas this on Friday. I'm like, God renamed Jacob, He renamed Abraham to Abraham, Jacob to Israel, and he renamed all these people when he gave them a upgraded or redeemed or fresh identity. And you're not a copycat, you're unique. God has a specific plan for you, but he's also giving you a specific identity and assignment. And let's talk about like your discovery of that, and then some practical process to help accelerate people like uncovering that and then actually living it. Because my revelation is this: just like the spies who went to the promised land, only 2 out of 12 made it to the promised land and were fruitful there. And I think that's true of people who discover their calling and purpose. I think for every 12 people that discover any sense of their calling and purpose or assignment or mission, only 2 out of 12 are somewhat fruitful in it. So 80-20, that's basically the 80-20 rule playing out. So maybe, let's head that direction.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost like you could think of that as like the parable of the sower. You know, how does that seed go out into people? But then some of it gets choked out, some of it gets lost, and then some it actually blooms. But I mean, I guess it was about 7 years ago when I discovered identity exchange, and I remember it was like the first time in my life where I felt, besides getting baptized in the Holy Spirit, where I was like literally like, oh my gosh, the book of Acts is real. God actually still speaks today how he did back then. You can actually talk to him. He knows my name. I can actually have a conversation with him right now about anything because he has infinite wisdom. He's timeless. He can guide my steps. He can give me just enough on faith to step forward and continue. And so it was just like, I just believe this. I just believe this is real. And so when I discovered that, and then we went through this process where we just had a listening prayer to just really have an encounter with Jesus, where he said, Wayne, you are my visionary simplifier. That was kind of like the first layer. And it wasn't an audible thing. It wasn't him saying, you're my visionary simplifier. It was like a download of a movie with my journal to be like, you are a visionary and a simplifier. And as it resonated with me, I was like, gosh, whenever I'm in environments and I can cast vision over someone's life, like speak life and listen to them and hear what they're working on and like give them vision, and then also just try to help them simplify if they're stuck. Like I just have energy for days. Like I could just do that 24/7 and just because I know it's like God working through me, not Wayne's superpower. It's just like God's like, this is what I need you to flow in. When you flow in this, you never run out of energy. And then I started to just test it and be like, man, when I'm doing this, and this, and then I just kind of get tired. I just run out, I run out of steam. But when I stay in this zone, and so then it was liberating to go and just help other people identify what their identity was, and also realize that, we talk about in our business, like we have a giant round table, because a round table can always be expanded instead of this hierarchy, right?
Sure.
Like I'm at the head of the table, so you're my subordinates.
I like that.
And this round table, and so every time someone's joining our business or getting involved in our business, I'm always like, man, we have a seat for you. Like your identity has been missing at our table. Yeah. And there's only something that God put in you that is so valuable for us that we need to learn about you, because you're going to help us solve a problem, or you're going to help us communicate in a way or do something that we could have never done without you. And
it's beautiful.
And so that's like how we've tried to like walk that out in our business. And I feel like when everyone is aligned in that, it almost is like this secret sauce that it's like, how are they doing what they're doing?
So how do you get everyone aligned, rowing the same direction?
That is, just like you said, with coming back with a report from the promised land, where two are like,
there's all this division.
Yeah, it's just
we can't do it. Yes, we can. No, we can't. This is why.
Yeah, I think for us is we just continue to cast vision of like, hey, this is the standard. Like we know how we operate this way, and it's almost like the verse Romans 12:2, do not be conformed to the patterns of the world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind.
Yes.
And so even in our business now, that's now in 36 countries, a lot of our company wants to do things the world ways, and we're just like, hey, we're going to do it this way. And they're like, well, that's not how everyone's doing it, and we're like, well, we feel like God's telling us to do it this way, and we'll meet you a year from now and see whose business is growing.
Is this something that's in play right now, or are you talking about the past?
it's just been continual
Since 2019.
Yeah, and there's been people that have been pruned out of our business because they've even told us, they've said, we just don't believe that you mix God in business. Like you guys are too like bringing God into this, and this is just business, and we're just like, hey, God's everywhere, and if you don't believe He's has an interest in your business, then you're in business with the wrong people, because we think He's in everything.
Yeah.
And
touch on that for a second. I think sometimes there is a time for pruning.
Yeah.
It's uncomfortable.
Oh yeah.
You and Jeff were just interacting here, Jeff Rogers, a moment ago, and he said on the last episode that pruning and getting cut off feels the same to a vine. So, how do you help prune the right people at the right time, and how do you know the difference? Like, because some of these people, it's like their family or their friends or childhood friends or their business associates. Like, how do you set healthy boundaries?
Yeah.
And I don't know,
Yeah.
like really build and nurture the right community and release the people that you're not called to right now. Because like you said, how did you put it? There's some people that got pruned out. Or
just even in the last 2 years, like I was just telling Jeff, he was just like, how's business? And I said, competitive. It's when you have built a really great business model that is actually growing, you find that competitors are like, we want to copy that, and we actually want to take some of your people and present them with a shiny object, which is usually a lot of money, to come try to replicate that over here. And so we've had a lot of that in the last 2 years. One time out of every 25 times, I think I should do it.
Okay.
So I don't want to sound like I'm just this holy roller that I'm just walking with Jesus every day, and I just like I'm always asking Him.
You're a human.
Yeah, I'm a human.
You're
So we've had two like major like exodus prunes in our business in the last 2 years. One big one, and actually it was about a year and a half ago. And in that moment, we just asked God, we're like, okay, what do you want us to know? Like, is this a repeat of before? Because anytime something starts to feel like something before that caused trauma, you immediately, a natural human thing is like, I've seen this before.
Your body goes back there, it brings back all those feelings.
That's never happening to me again. Yeah. I'm going to fight. And God was just like, have peace. And it was interesting. We were traveling, we were in Scotland, and we were staying in this house. And Scotland is, if you know, like currently Scotland is like, has 1% Christianity right now. Like
really?
It's like one of the like most, agnostic, unchurched areas of
That's what my ancestors done.
Patterson. Yeah. But carved into this mantle as we were going through this, we had this mass defection when we were traveling, had this mass defection about to happen. It said that verse be wise as a serpent and harmless as doves.
Mm-hmm.
And we were praying at that time. So it's interesting. As you pray those words, God will actually give you clues, because we were like, well, my mindset was just like, well, I'm going to fight. I'm going to tell the truth. I'm going to expose all these people why they're leaving, because they're greedy. And they're just doing this.
And you were directed to not.
Yes, and it was like...
Did that feel uncomfortable?
Oh, yeah.
Was that hard?
Yeah, but I remember that car, and I was just
Did your wife have to tell you, no, we're going to do this?
Yeah, she always is, way more in tune. But the cool thing is, because we did that, everyone that left still thought we were allied with them. So they actually gave us enormous amounts of intel about everyone and everything that was going on.
Because you were open-handed?
We were harmless.
Yeah.
And we were being wise. So we found all this intel out that actually kept a bunch of our people to stay, because they realized most of what was happening was a lie. And that happened. And then about 6 months later, another competitor started another business and pulled some people away again. And we did the same thing. We just asked God, we're like, okay, God, you've said this, like, this was going to be fruitful and continue to be here. Just stay the course, like show us what we're supposed to do. And he just showed us, some visual stuff that was just like, I'm over here. It's going to be a little rickety bridge you're going to be climbing across.
Let's say you're, I don't know, late 30s, 40s, maybe early 50s. You're in that zone, and you've got kids, and you're building this business, and you've got a level of success, but you know there's a lot more. How do you walk this out on the daily?
Yeah.
Is it a rhythmic thing that's like an early morning thing, end of the day thing? Is it like medicine? It's like you take it as needed. Like when you have these things come up, is it like you do it on your Sabbath or?
Yeah, I mean, for me, if anything in the last 6 months, I've been actually getting up 2 hours earlier than I ever have in my life.
What time did you used to get up?
Well, I probably get up at like 6. So I've been getting up at 5. Maybe that was a little embellishment. So about an hour earlier. It feels like 2 hours earlier because our kids usually get up around 7. So I kind of model
2 hour gap from the kids.
before the mob hits.
Jeez, I'd be up at 4.
Yeah. So, but in that time, that's where I realized like if I can get this quiet time to really take a little walk, have some time with God, journal, and really like continue on path and be like, okay, God, what do you want me to know today? What do you want me to do today? Really dial that in and then go get some of my physical stuff done before, and really just like almost like relating, like put the oxygen mask on myself before I see anyone in my sphere. Then by 7 a.m. when
so take care of you so you can take care of everyone else.
Yes.
Sharpen your saw, as they say in 7th Habit, so highly effective 7th Habit. Like stay sharp.
Yeah.
Or I think Proverbs says like if your axe is dull, or maybe it's Ecclesiastes. It takes a long time, but if you've got a sharpened axe, you know, you can be really effective.
Yeah.
So to stay sharp, you ask yourself these questions, or you're working out, spending time alone, journaling. What do you do?
Yeah. It's wake up. I usually take my dog for a walk in the dark because there's just something.
Northwest.
Yeah, it's just something that like is uncomfortable, but now it's a habit because he likes to walk. So I get up and
I love morning
but
walks
then
in the day.
journal, ask God, read some inputs, and then as I go work out, it's just time to like listen to something, or there's worship music, and so it just really just always is setting my mind.
How have you learned to respond then to like really negative situations that are maybe little t to big T traumatic?
I think there's been so many
You've been through a lot
traumatic
of life.
opportunities. Yeah. That I all
more than the average person will in a few lifetimes.
I feel like God gave me this phrase about 12 years ago. He said, Wayne, I've saved you and I've blessed you, but I still have the best for you. Mm-hmm. So whenever something comes up, I always am just reminding me like, God, you saved me. You've always blessed me, but I know you still have the best for me. So what do you want me to do? And, I could just walk around in my house and see all my kids and be like, I'm just blessed. Like, look at this. I mean, this is like, who has this? And then they're like,
You got 6 kids still at home, right?
Yeah, still at home.
Full of energy,
but
full of
I think that mantra is just a drumbeat where like if it starts to get a little crazy or off kilter, I'm just like, like you've saved me, you've blessed me, and you still have the best for me. So I'm just going to keep following after you. And man makes his plans, but the Lord orders his steps. And I just want to be like that tree planted by the water that bears fruit in season and leaves never wither, because I meditate on his commandments every single day. So I think in the morning, that's what I'm trying to do, is just like meditate on his commandments and be like, root me deep.
Is this best done in isolation on your own, like go into your prayer closet or go into the desert or go on a sabbatical or a silent retreat? Is this best done in community? Is this best done with some level of consistency, or like when it's most needed?
I feel like the consistency, that quiet time with God, like refining that is something in the daily, but I feel like community is like absolutely important because like, again, getting around you or, there's men in my life where I can just say, here's what I'm thinking. Like, I don't know what God says, but like, I just need another man to like
bounce it off. Yeah.
Or tell me the truth, or give it to me real.
Yeah. I tell like young men, if you want to meet your spouse, have an intimate connection with the Creator.
Yeah.
Understand and discover your identity.
Yeah.
Start to walk in it.
Yeah.
Keep that intimate connection strong, and then understand your unique design. Like really learn who you are and what you're good at, and then really steward that well. And then if you do all of that, you get to the sweet spot. Most men I know meet their wife, attract them within 12 months.
Yeah.
But a lot of guys, what they do is they don't figure that out. They actually find a spouse out of maybe immaturity or ill health or out of an idol. Yeah. And then they marry the wrong person.
Yeah.
Or
they check some of the worldly boxes.
Yeah.
And you're like, oops, I did not the foundation that I needed.
Any other thoughts for really stepping into your own identity, your God-given identity, not being a copycat, and really flowing in the strengths God's given you? And any tips, hints, or process there?
Yeah, I mean, we learned it all from our friends the Winships.
Mm-hmm.
So identityexchange.com. There's a lot of teaching, training to walk people through how to like really discover that. And I think everyone that's around that community and understanding that it helps them unlock it. And then you gotta cultivate it. It's just like our mind is like a garden, and the weeds start popping up every single day with thoughts. So
if someone's listening to this now, what question should they ask themselves, and then what should they do after they ask the question?
they should ask, they should really get quiet with their journal and like really have
have your journal
visualization.
Like
yeah.
Physical, like you've got here, or
physical,
can I type on my iPad?
Physical journal, something you can write with.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like there's power in handwriting it out.
Physical,
and really like getting to what we call like your happy place. So like a quiet, peaceful, like a visualization.
So like for some people, it'll be right here. For other people, it's looking at the lake.
Sitting behind,
For other people, it's with their coffee first thing in the morning, nice music. Okay.
Yeah.
So get into your zone, get into your place, ask God the question, and then do you give it a minute, 3 minutes, 5 minutes,
Just
15 minutes?
Spontaneous. It'll be.
And is it a thought here? Is it here?
It'll be a thought. I feel like some people get it as like a almost a movie, or they're in the movie, or they get a word picture, or there could be audible, and it's really just asking God, like, Jesus, what do you call me?
What do you call me?
Yeah.
Yeah, go through some of those questions. So like I'm sitting here, I'm asking these questions. Like, is the first question, what do you call me, or is it, what do you want me to know?
I always like people to get a sense of their identity first.
Okay.
So, Jesus, what do you call me? Like when you created me, what do you call me? And then they'll usually have some revelation of, okay, this is what you call me. Name, something in the kingdom. A lot of people will get son or daughter, and then we'll have them go a little deeper beyond that, and then once you hear that identity, then it is, okay, now that you've called me this, what do I need to know about this? And it's almost like, what do they call that? Like you just get a blank piece of paper and you just start in the middle. So like when
like a mind map?
Yeah, mind map, just visionary. And then
that's why I always have an iPad with me. So if you ever see my iPad here, I'm just drawing mind maps.
Yeah, and then you're like visionary, and then it's just like, oh God, what does visionary mean? And it's just like things just start flowing.
Yeah.
And you're like, okay, this is I am a visionary, and this is what God.
Yeah, it's like for me, it's like mantle of King David. I'm an abolitionist and a warrior.
Yeah.
But I'm also like a father.
Yeah.
And I also want to link shields with David's mighty men. That's how this conversation started several years ago. Was like getting David's mighty men together and seeing them step into their gifting so they can go fight the battle that they're called to fight.
Yeah.
Rather than being distracted.
Yeah. Yeah.
By all the things that if you look back, don't really matter that much. They don't matter as much as we thought they did.
Yeah, absolutely.
And so really getting that name and then walking in it. So like I often hear things from me that is like abolitionist, catalyst, pioneer, releaser. You mentioned getting around people, like when we get around each other, we sharpen each other and we call each other up. I've thought about calling this permission slips. Where I just like I was writing you a permission slip. Send me a message. I'll write you a permission slip of what God is releasing you to do today.
Yes.
I love handing out those permission slips.
Absolutely.
Physical and spiritual.
Yeah. And then I think, there's a lot of days where it's just like, this is what I need to know. This is what I need to do. But then I'm not really hearing something sometimes. And I'm like, I guess it goes back to that long obedience in the same direction, where sometimes it's just like going back and be like, wait, did I actually obey what I was told before? And am I actually doing? So
is that a good practice to go back and be like, what has God told me, and what have I not done of what He's told me?
Yeah.
And just go take care of that.
Because I think sometimes as a human, we're like, I want the new thing. Okay, God, I'm
so how do you avoid shiny object? How do you avoid shiny object syndrome? How do you avoid shiny object syndrome?
I think
And how do you know the difference between it's a shiny object and an opportunity?
gosh, I feel like it just comes with like a supernatural peace that would come over you to know that, you know, what you're operating or doing in that moment is like what you're supposed to be operating in. And, you know, a shiny object or something that's a distraction, it would just feel scratchy. Or, you know, that's why when things come across, you know, people say, hey, why don't you pray about it? I remember I would be like, oh, okay, sure. And I wouldn't, you know. And then now it's amazing. We'll get something that comes across our plate and I'll be like, okay, God, what do I need to know about this?
Yeah, cool.
Like, give me the breakdown.
Best business book that someone should read right now in 2025.
Best business book. I've been reading the book Mindset by Carol Dweck.
Okay.
And it's
key takeaway.
It's the revelation that like I had a fixed mindset, and there's still things that I still struggle with on a fixed mindset, but then I've seen areas where I've operated with like a massive growth mindset.
Okay.
And trying to like whittle down those other things that I'm like, why do I still have a fixed mindset around
that
this?
thing. Yeah.
I don't want that anymore.
Okay.
I want a growth mindset there. I want a growth mindset there. So it's been a butt kicker, because, you know, I feel like sometimes I'm like, I've accomplished a lot of stuff. Like I have a lot of stuff figured out. And
But you can't stop growing.
And then you're like, man,
always be growing.
I have a fixed mindset right there. Even saying that I've accomplished a lot.
Right? What's one or two pieces of wisdom you would share with yourself 20 years ago on building business and navigating relationships?
I mean, never take yourself too serious. I think I always like to have fun. So like if I don't want to be a part of anything that, you know, there isn't fun involved and people can joke around and like operating as a servant, you know, the least become first. Just in our business, I always feel like they want to like give people ranks and titles and then put people up in front and be like, you guys are the, and I'm like, I just don't like that. I'm like, I just want to help everyone rise up. So going back 20 years, I mean, I guess if I'm listening to this and I'm 25 years old or 30 years old, like if I could have figured out my identity back then and had that ironclad, it would have saved me so much. Just
you would have stopped wasting time and focused on the main thing.
Absolutely.
Okay, what are one or two things that you would be encouraging business owners, entrepreneurs to focus on now in order to maximize and multiply their business and their gifts?
I think making sure they just have that time in the morning, you know, that time to reset and like really like understand. One is Sabbath. Like we take Sabbath serious, not from a religious standpoint, but from a promise that, you know,
is it
God,
what day do you do it?
Sundays. So we do it starting Saturdays at 5 to usually 5 on Sunday.
And what are what are the 3 key practices as part of your Sabbath? Obviously there could be there's probably a few more, but like what are the top 3 things that like you've found as a family really makes your Sabbath?
Yeah, and then we go obviously get into community worship, doing church, playing games, being able to just like have no social media, no like outside interaction, to make sure that we're just like absolutely dialed in, and just kind of like resetting, unplugging is number 1.
Thank you
Yeah.
for sharing. I feel like if I was to do this again, I'd probably either use myself or Nikolai or someone and kind of maybe practically do this. So maybe we do that. But if people want to find you and hear more about the Exodus Legacy Trust or Rise Up Champions, they should go to riseupchampions.com.
Risechampions.com. Or on social media, my handle would be Wayne Johnson _official. So Instagram, Wayne Johnson
official.
And YouTube as well. So working to build out some more long form content on YouTube.
This is your first of a lot more, right?
Yes, first of a lot more.
If there's something you want Wayne to talk about, post it in the comments, and we'll put it on his roadmap of what he's going to be sharing.
Yeah.
As always, if you found this helpful or valuable, again, I'd ask you to prayerfully consider who's the one person that really needs to know something that was shared today by Wayne or myself, and please just share it with them directly. Yeah, of course you can like and subscribe, and that's totally helpful for the algorithms and things, but there is somebody that you know in your life that needs to hear this today that's going to be helpful to them in their process, who is called to steward things greater, who's called to abolish the fear and apathy and to rise above and really step into stewarding everything that they've been called to steward in a greater sense right now. Like, time is now, not later, but right now. So hey, thanks for tuning in, and We look forward to seeing you next time.